Assalamu alaikum. Today's lecture is about denial of service attacks, or we also called it DOS attacks, which is one of the very famous attack on networks or computer systems. Basically, denial of service attack is the attack on the availability of some service. The focus of the DOS attack is on the network services, where it tried to attack over the network connections. Here we provide the NIST definition of the DOS attack, and if we go through this definition, we can come to know that a DOS attack occurs when a legitimate user or honest user are unable to access information systems, devices or other network resources due to the action of malicious cyber threat actor. And these attacks make service unavailable by exhausting the resources of the computer system, such as or your network, such as processing unit, memory, network bandwidth or disk space. So as we already discussed, that DOS attack is the attack on the availability of some service, and the resources that could be attacked during DOS attacks are network bandwidth, system or applications. Okay, what is the network bandwidth? It is the capacity of network link which is connected your server to the internet. If we go over here in this diagram, so the link that is connecting our network to the internet or ISP, that is giving us our network bandwidth. Like here, the link that through which, like this is our web server, this web server is connected to the internet through this link. So the link to this link, through this link, okay, this is our organization network where we have a server, some systems, and this is the router, and this router is connected to the internet through this link. So this link is particularly attacked during DOS attacks because this link have a limited capacity, okay, and the links that are here in the core, okay, these links have much higher network bandwidth as compared to this link we show over here with the thick line. Thick line mean that the network bandwidth for these links is much greater than the network bandwidth for the link which connect our company or organization to the internet. So during normal operation, if this organization or this web server is running some famous website, so it is possible that a lot of traffic is coming from the internet to this router. Now this router, if during busy time, it might be receiving a more traffic than what can be handled on the link. So in this situation, the router must discard some packets and delivering only as many as can be handled by the link. So if in a normal operation such kind of high load occur to a popular server that is having a lot of traffic from legitimate user, okay, what can be happen as a result? Your users will experience degradation of the service, like your server response will be slow because there is a lot of traffic right now. So but in case of DOS attack, what happened is the lot of traffic is discarded at the target server is malicious, and it is generated either directly or indirectly by the attacker. Instead of receiving over here the request of legitimate user, this router is receiving on this link a lot of traffic from the attacker. So this traffic will overwhelm any legitimate traffic. So as a result of it, it will deny legitimate users through access to the server. Then there come a DOS attack, which attack on the system resources. So its main aim to overload or crash its network handling software. Like on the system, the main aim of attacker to overload or crash the network handling software. So instead of consuming bandwidth with large volume of traffic, specific type of packets are sent that consume the limited resources available on the system. For example, if there are any temporary buffers which are used to hold incoming packets, or there are tables in the system for keeping record of the open connections, or some other memory data structure. So these resources are overloaded so that no new request can be accepted to add into the network connection table. So system would not be response to the legitimate user and will deny the service. Then the third resource that can be attacked during DOS attack is the specific applications. For example, a web server, where attacker generate a large number of valid requests, but each of this request will consume significant amount of resources on your web server, which result in the disability of the server to respond to requests from other user. Like for example, we have a web server which might include the ability to make database queries. So you can do database query from this server. So if large costly queries can be constructed and an attacker could generate a large number of these queries, then it will heavily loaded the web server, and web server would not be able to respond to the valid requests from other users. This type of attack is also known as cyber slam attack. Okay, the simplest classical DOS attack is a flooding attack on an organization, where the basic aim of the attacker is to overcome or burden the capacity of the network connection to the target organization. Like this is the attack on network bandwidth resource of the organization. For example, if we consider here in this diagram, we have two network. One is this large company network and one is this medium sized company network. Now we assume that this link, the link of the large company, have higher bandwidth to the internet as compared to the link of the medium sized company. Now attacker is sitting over here in this large company, and he is using this large company web server to target the medium sized company with this lower capacity network connection. So attacker can send a large number of, let's suppose in flooding attack, the more common type of attack, where this attacker is just sending ping command or ping request to this web server, let's suppose. So what happened is that the attacker will generate a large number of these ping request commands directed to the web server in the medium sized company. So this traffic can be handled easily by this higher capacity link on the path. Like this link is higher capacity. So whatever data is generated over here in this web server, the attacker is over here in this web server. So it can be easily handled over here in this connection. But when it reaches to the to this router, and this router when pass it to the company edge router, so this link is having a limited capacity. So at this point some packets must be discarded, with the remainder consuming most of the capacity on the link to the medium sized company. So the valid traffic will have a very little chance of surviving discard. So the router respond to the resulting congestion on this link. So it will not be able to service to the normal or legitimate user, because most of this link bandwidth is consumed by the attacker traffic. In the classic flooding attack, source of the attack is always identifiable, because if you have this large number of traffic coming from some particular source, you can always look at the source IP address and can identify the attacker or source of the attack, unless spoofed address is used. Spoofed address, or where attacker, before sending data to the victim, change its IP address to some bogus IP address, source IP address of the packet to some bogus IP address, so that source of the attack is not identifiable. Another interesting thing in the classic flooding attack is the chance of reflected attack back to the attacker system. Like if you are sending ping, you are using ping command to send ICMP echo request packet to the targeted system. So the targeted system will try to reply back to you with echo reply packets, okay, or echo response packet. So this will effectively reflect the attack back at the source system, because if you are sending a large number of echo request packet, targeted system will try to reply to all those echo request with echo response packet, and you are receiving all those echo response packet to your system unless you are not using a spoofed IP address. So this can sometime result in the reflected attack back on the attacker. And in these type of attack, network performance is noticeably affected, because most of the network bandwidth is consumed by the attacker bogus packet instead of legitimate user network traffic. The source address spoofing. One of the common characteristics of packets, like we discussed in the previous ICMP flooding attack or ping command attack, that they are easily able to identify the source. So if we don't want our analyst to identify the source of the attack, then they use source address spoofing technique. So in a source address spoofing technique, if the attacker have a sufficient privilege access to the network that is handling a code on the computer system, it is easy for the attacker to create packet with a forged source address, that is bogus source address. And this type of access is usually done through raw socket interface on operating system. Raw socket provide administrator or privileged user the access to directly modify the raw protocol and design and develop a new proprietary protocol on top of existing protocol. So when attacker has access to this raw interface, then they can easily change the IP packet source address to some bogus address. But if attacker does not have access to this or is not using raw socket interface, then he has to install a custom device driver on the source system to obtain this level of access to the network, which is more difficult. Now when attacker has access to the raw socket interface, he can generate a large amount of packets, and these would all have the target system as the destination address, but would use randomly selected and usually different source addresses for each packet. The reason for using these random and different source address for each packet is so that attacker remain unidentifiable. If we are considering the same flooding ping attack that we discussed in the previous slide, so these ICMP echo request packet would flow over the same path from the source toward the target system, because source IP address is changed but source is not changed. So it is using high capacity link to generate a large volume of packet and then send to this targeted system, which is unable to handle this large amount of data, and as a result congestion will occur. And when congestion will occur, then your legitimate user request would not be able to reach to the destination and performance will be degraded, and as a result of it DOS attack will occur. Now some of the anomalies that are associated with such attacks is that you cannot identify the source of packet by just looking at the packet header information, because source IP address is already forged. So also flow of packet of some specific form through the router along the path from the source to target system also need to be identified. In that case, just looking at a source IP address, you cannot identify the source, and it required the help or cooperation of network engineers who are managing these routers, and this is really a hard task, because if you are identifying source by just reading the network header and source IP address, it would be much easy. So we need the help of network engineer to specifically query flow information from their router, and it is a manual process which take a lot of time and efforts. Okay, now what is a backscatter traffic in this case? Backscatter traffic is that traffic which is the result of query. Like if ICMP echo request is being sent by the attacker, then targeted system will reply with the ICMP echo reply, but this echo reply will be sent to the bogus or forged source addresses, and these source addresses are scattered throughout the internet. So what happened is, there are some honey pot projects, honeynet projects are there that take unused IP addresses and advertise routes to these unused IP addresses, and then collect detail of any packet sent to these unused IP addresses. We call it dark IP addresses as well, as there is no real system is using these addresses, so no legitimate packet should be sent to these dark IP addresses. So if any packet is received on these dark IP addresses, it is the indication of the result of network attack. So this is known as backscatter traffic, when ICMP echo response packets are generated in response to ping flood using randomly spoofed source addresses. So it provide valuable information by monitoring these type of packets and scale of attack that is being carried out. Okay, another type of DOS attack is sync spoofing attack. In this basic flooding attack, like other common classical attack, the attacker tried to overflow the TCP connection tables that are used to manage all the incoming connections. It's a kind of attack on the network system resources. So on a web server, all the active TCP connections are recorded in a table. So attacker do what, that it overflow the table used to manage such connection. So as a result, future connection request from legitimate users will fail or deny them access to the server. Okay, this diagram shows us normal TCP connection handshake, like we also called it three-way handshake, when a TCP connection is established between client and server. So client will first send a packet where sync flag is set. We call it sync packet. When server receives this packet and ready to establish a connection with the client, server will respond with the sync ACK packet where sync flag as well as ACK flag is set while the all other flags are 0. And when client receive this sync ACK packet, then client will send back ACK packet where client show that it is also ready to establish the connection, and connection will be established after transferring these 3 packets between client and server. Now what happened in the sync spoofing attack? Now you can see that it is a spoofing attack as well. So spoofing attack means that attacker here, he is using the spoofed source IP address, not his original IP address, and send a connection request to the targeted server on which it wants to launch the attack. Now as a normal situation, server will respond with sync ACK packet. Now server will send this sync ACK packet to the spoofed client, to the IP address that has been used by this attacker. Okay, so server will respond this sync ACK packet to some spoofed client which actually do not exist. Okay, and now client is attacker is keep on sending these connection requests, large number of connection requests to the server, and server will keep on responding to these connection requests with sync ACK to non-existent client. When it does not, server will wait for response for the ACK packet like normal 3-hand shake shaking protocol. So this spoofed client, because do not exist, it will never respond with the third packet, that is ACK packet. So server will not receive this ACK packet. When timeout occur, it will resend this sync ACK packet. Whenever timeout occur, it keeps on resending this sync ACK packet until it assume that connection request is failed. So attacker will send a large number of these bogus connection request to the server, and all the legitimate resources inside the server will be consumed by these attacker requests, and there is no more space available in TCP table connection for the normal or legitimate users. Okay, flooding attacks take a different forms based on which network protocol is being used to implement the attack. But in all the cases, the basic aim is just to overload the network capacity on some link to the server. So the aim is to overload the server ability to handle and respond to the legitimate traffic. And these attacks, as we discussed before, flood the network link to the server with a lot of malicious packet and overwhelming the capacity of the network, and valid traffic flow will not be able to reach to the server, and congestion will occur. So this is what flooding attack. So we can categorize these flooding attack based on which protocol is used to do this overloading the network capacity. These are called ICMP flood attack if we are using ICMP echo request and packet, or like a ping command to flood the network, or we call it UDP flood if we are using a UDP packet, like a large number of UDP packets are sent to some port number on the target system, or TCP sync flood where TCP packets are targeted to the system with 3-way handshake protocol like we discussed in the previous slide, and we are sending a large volume of these connection requests to the server, and the basic aim of the attacker is to overload the network capacity. Like in the previous slide, we assume that sync spoofing attack is to attack on the network resources, but here TCP sync flood, where we want to send a large number of sync packets, but the basic aim of the attacker is just to overload the network bandwidth or network capacity of the link, not on the system resource like in the previous slide, that is on the system resources, but this is related to particularly network bandwidth. Okay, now we will discuss distributed denial of service attacks or DDoS attack. As we have seen previously that in flooding attacks, attack is generated by a single system. But with the significant development in DOS attack tools, what attackers started doing, instead of using a single system, they use multiple systems to generate the attack. And these systems are normal systems which are being compromised by the attacker. So attacker uses some well-known flaw in operating system or in other common application to get access to the system, and then he will install his own program on it, and such system which are compromised system or that are controlled by the attacker are called zombie system. So once attacker has get a zombie system, he will install some backdoor program on these system, so they were entirely under the attacker control. So attacker tried to control a large number of such system and make a network of these compromised system which is called botnet, and these botnets are then used by attacker to perform DOS attack. And when there are multiple machines are involved or multiple systems are used to perform the DOS attack, then it is not called a normal DOS attack, but it become a distributed DOS attack or DDoS attack. Okay, like we can see over here in this picture that while attacker could command each zombie individually, like here you can see we have a attacker can okay, there is a hierarchical architecture over here. The attacker is on the top level, then we have handler zombies and agent zombie. Each of the controlled system or the compromised system is called zombie over here, and they create a network which is called botnet. Now attacker can directly contact with the compromised systems or zombies, but more generally they love to use hierarchical system. So a small number of systems act as handler, like over here on the first level of hierarchy. Attacker is controlling handler zombies, and then these handler zombies control a large number of agent system or agent zombies, as we show over here. So attacker can send a single command to the handler, and which then automatically forward this command to the agent zombies, and then agent zombies then forward this command to the target system. The best defense against these DDoS attack is that your system should not be compromised by attacker, or attacker should not be able to make your system as its zombie. So how can you prevent your system from being compromised? It needs good system security practices and keep the operating system and applications on your system current and patched. You should regularly update your system with the patches. So that is one of the best defense against DDoS attack, so that your system should not be compromised by the attacker and it should not become a zombie. Okay, session initiation protocol. Flood is another type of DOS attack. We know that we can use voice over IP telephony to use call on internet. So the standard protocol that is used to for call setup in a voice over IP, it is SIP protocol or session initiation protocol. This protocol works similarly as HTTP protocol. Like in HTTP protocol we send request and then receive response. So SIP protocol work on the same basis with request and response messages. We have two type of messages in SIP. One is request and other one is response messages. So here in this figure we show the operation of SIP invite message, which is used to this invite message. Okay, this invite message is used to establish a session between two user agent. So we have Alice and Bob. Alice user agent is running on the computer system, and Bob agent is running on cell phone. So Alice user agent is configured to work through the proxy server because it is behind the LAN. So all the requests from Alice user agent will go to the proxy server. So Alice user agent will send the invite request to talk to the Bob. Here invite SIP Bob from SIP Alice. So when proxy server will receive this request, it will try to find out the IP address of the Bob. So in order to get the IP address, this request from proxy server will be forwarded as a DNS query to the DNS server. DNS server will respond with the Bob IP address to the proxy server, and then proxy server will forward the request of Alice to the proxy server of the Bob, which in turn will forward this invite request to the Bob user agent. So this is the normal working of SIP protocol. Now in SIP flood attack, it exploits this fact that a single invite request consume a large number of resources on the server, proxy servers. So a DOS attack can be launched against these proxy server by sending a large number of SIP invite request with spoofed IP addresses, or attacker can also launch DDoS attack using a botnet to generate a large number of these invite requests and send to the proxy server. So this attack put a load on the SIP proxy server in two ways. First, the server resources are decreased in processing these invite requests because all the resources on the proxy server will be allocated to process these invite requests. And second thing is the network capacity will also be consumed. So call receivers are also, like here call receiver is Bob. They can also be a victim of this attack because a target system will be flooded with forged voice over IP calls, and which will make the system unavailable for legitimate incoming calls. Okay, HTTP protocol based DOS attacks. We have two variant of these DOS attacks: HTTP flood and slow loris attack. So in HTTP flood attack, attacker bombard web servers with a large number of HTTP requests, and this type of attack is usually done through DDoS attack, where a large number of bogus requests are coming from different bots, and these requests are designed in such a way that they consume a considerable amount of resources on the web server. Like for example, attacker send a request to download a large file from the target server, and now how will web server will respond for this request? It will read the file from hard disk, then store it in memory, then convert it into packet, and then transmit these packet to the destination. So this process, overall process, if we see, it not only consume memory but also processing and power, and as well as transmission resources, that is bandwidth or network capacity as well. So in this way this HTTP flood attack is being performed. Okay, another variant of this attack is called spidering. Now spidering is a kind of recursive HTTP flood attack. We also called it recursive HTTP flood attack. Now in this type of attack, the bots start from a given HTTP link, and then on that link all the links that are over there in that particular web page, it will start following or sending these bogus requests to all the links provided in this site in a recursive way. So this is called spidering attack. Okay, then we have a slow loris attack. Now slow loris attack what we do in slow loris attack, that we know that when we create HTTP request message, how can server come to know that this request message is complete? There is a one extra new line is inserted by the end of HTTP request message. Now attacker will not insert this new line and keeps on sending a large number of request messages to the target web server, and target web server will always wait for this completing this request message, and this request message will not include the terminating new line sequence. So attacker keeps on sending more header lines periodically to keep the connection alive, but never sends this terminating new line sequence. So the web server keeps the connection open, expecting that more information is going to come from the source, so that it can complete the request. So as the attack continue, the volume of long standing slow loris connection increase, like incomplete connections increases, and which eventually consume all available web server connections. So web server become unavailable to respond to legitimate requests. There are some intrusion detection and prevention systems available that rely on signature to detect attack, but these kind of attacks will these kinds of intrusion detection system would not be able to recognize slow loris attack, because they are using a normal HTTP request message. There is no particular behavior in that or a signature in that, so that these IDS system can recognize these type of attacks or stop these type of attacks. So these are really difficult to recognize or prevent slow loris attacks. Reflection attacks are another type of DOS attack, which are very interesting type of attacks. Now in these type of attacks, attacker first choose a target system, and then attacker does not need to compromise any intermediary system to launch this attack. It use intermediary system, same like here, in this zombie network or bot network. Like here we have agent zombies. Now these are intermediary system, and this is target. Now what attacker actually do, he will these are not compromised system. These are normal web servers. These systems are your normal servers working normally without any compromising by attacker, and this is our target. Now attacker will send request messages to each of these intermediary systems. Okay, request. Okay, and when these intermediary systems receive the attacker request, attacker used spoofed IP address of this target system as a source of these requests. Source address in these request messages is the IP address of target system. Attacker will not use his own IP address, but source is the target IP address. So when these web server will receive these request messages from the attacker, they all try to send reply to this source, because web server assume that this request coming from this target. So they all will respond with a reply message to this target system, and this target system is receiving a large number of these messages, reply messages from the server, which consume the network bandwidth of the target system, and target system can be attacked in such a way. So this is called reflection attack. Okay, so this is a reflection attack. So goal of the reflection attack is to generate enough volume of the packet to flood the link to the target system without changing anything in the intermediary system. So intermediary systems are used by attacker without compromising them, but they just generate a large amount of traffic to the target. So the basic aim is to consume uh, the link bandwidth of the target system. So what is the best defense against reflection attack is blocking spoofed source packet. How can you block spoofed source packet? Whenever a packet is sending out of the network, your edge router make it sure that the source IP address on the packet belongs to one of the IP addresses for this network, but not some spoofed IP address. So this can be considered as the defense against reflection attacks. There is one variation of reflector attack that establish self-contained loop between the intermediary and target system. Like here, this DNS server is intermediary and this is the victim or the target system, and it can create this loop between them. So attacker can create this loop. Okay, like we have shown over here in this diagram, the normal DNS operation, like if normal user send a request to DNS server maps host name to IP address. So it will get the IP address whatever is being requested by this normal user and send back to this normal user the IP address of host, whatever URL or host. So this is the normal operation of DNS queries and response. Now if we see over here in this diagram, it is trying to create a loop between intermediary DNS server and target or victim system. Now what attacker did is attacker generate a DNS query message with spoofed IP address of victim. So here if you look at this DNS query message, it shows that it is coming from source is j.k.l.m, which is the victim IP address, and server is w.x.y.z, and these numbers 53 and 7. So DNS server run on the port number 53. Okay, and here attacker source port 7. So source port 7 is usually associated with echo service, which is a reflector service. Okay, so when the DNS server receive this query, it will response to the victim of the attack. So DNS server assume that this request come from j.k.l.m IP, so it will respond back to the victim and address it to port 7. Okay, source port now become 53 and destination port become 7. So if the victim is offering the echo service, it may create a packet that echoes the received data back to the DNS server in this message number 3. So this echo will keeps going on between this DNS server and victim machine, which will cause this loop of messages. So these loop consume reasonable resources both on DNS server and victim, and can cause this DNS reflection attack or DOS DNS reflection attack. Now if we look at the preventive measure for these type of attacks, is the preventive measure is that if we do not allow this forged IP address to be sent through our network, so if before forwarding this request of attacker to this DNS server, if we have a edge router or a proxy firewall that is working on our network, it should make sure that this source IP address belong to one of the allocated IP address of the network. If it does not, it should not send this request to the outside of the network, and should also look at the combination of the port numbers that are used and block all the suspicious port numbers if being used. Here this is the suspicious combination of port number. Why this attack possible? Because this echo service that is running on port number 7, that caused this loop. So if our proxy firewall reject suspicious combination of source and destination ports, this kind of attacks can be cured, or we can prevent such type of attacks. Another variant of reflection attack is called amplification attack. And an amplification attack is any attack where attacker is able to use amplification factor to multiply its power. So amplification attacks are also asymmetric. It means that a small number or low level of resources are required by attacker to cause a significantly greater number or higher level of target resources to fail. Example of amplification attack include Smurf attack, which use ICMP amplification, okay, and fragile attack, which use UDP amplification, and DNS amplification attack. So in amplification attack, multiple response packets for each original packet is sent, and this can be achieved by sending the original packet to the broadcast address for some network. So as a result of it, all hosts on that network can possibly be respond to that request, and generating a flood of response as shown over here in this diagram, So this is what amplification attack is. The possible defense of amplification attack is if we do not allow directed broadcast to be routed into the network from outside. So in that case, we can defense from amplification attacks. Another possible defense is that if we limit network services like echo and ping from being accessed from outside an organization, because these services are used to do network analysis. So this should not be done from outside an organization. So this can also be used as a defense against amplification attack to restrict echo or ping services being accessed from outside the network. We have seen DNS reflection attack. Now, as I told you, one type of amplification attack is DNS amplification attack. So in DNS amplification attack, it worked like traditional DNS reflection attack, that attacker use packet that sent to the intermediary DNS server, and where attacker use the source IP as the victim IP address, and then it create a lot of these DNS requests which contain spoofed source address of the target system, and then sent to this intermediary DNS server. So here it exploit one of the DNS behavior where it convert a small request to a much larger response. Like using the classic DNS protocol, a 60 byte UDP request packet can easily result in 512 byte UDP response. So the maximum that is traditionally allowed, that can be used by the attacker. So all that is needed is by the attacker is a name server with DNS record large enough for this to occur. So DNS, intermediary DNS, will send response that is really a large enough which consume all of the resources on the targeted system. Okay, what is the defense against amplification attack? Defense is the same like we previously discussed, to prevent use of spoofed source address. So if your edge router or your firewall receive a packet from internal network to send to outside, it should make sure that source IP address belong to one of the allocated IP addresses of the network. So in this way we can prevent DNS amplification attack. We have discussed previously some of the steps that can be taken to limit the consequences of being the target of DOS attack, or limit the chances of your system being compromised and act as zombie to launch DOS attack. But it is important to recognize that these attacks cannot be prevented entirely. Uh, Particularly if attacker can direct a large volume of legitimate traffic to your system, then there is a high chance that this will overwhelm your system network connection, and legitimate traffic requests from other user will not be reached to your system, and they will not get service. This high traffic volume that can be generated, and that is still legitimate by publicizing about a specific site or activity on a very popular site. Like for example, if there is any popular event going on, like World Cup of soccer game, and match is occurring over there, and sites reporting on them, they will experience very high traffic level. So this sometime we use to call it with the term like slash dotted, flash crowd, or flash event. And there is very little that can be done to prevent this type of either accidental or deliberate overload without compromising network performance. Okay, what are the defense lines against these DDoS attacks, or how can we defend ourselves from these DDoS attacks? It can occur in different stages. Like first is attack prevention and preemption, that has to be occur before an attack. Then attack detection and filtering, that has to be done during the attack. Then there is need to trace back to the source of the attack, that is also can be done during and after the attack. And then in the end, attack reaction, which has to be done after the attack. Some of the DOS attack prevention mechanisms are stored over here. First one is block spoofed source address, because this is one of the critical component that is being used by in most of the DOS attacks. So we can perform this check on the router that is close to the source as possible. Like your first router on the way must have to check if this source IP address belong to one of the allocated addresses of the network. Or this can also be done on the ISPs, because ISPs know that which IP addresses it is allocating to its customer, so it can perform this check for all the traffic when it received by ISPs, that source IP address on the packet belongs to one of the allocated IP addresses for the particular ISP. Another way is to that we can add filters to traffic before it leaves the ISP network, or at any point of the entry to their network. For this, Cisco routers, one of the service can be used, that is IP verify unicast reverse path command. This filter is used to ensure that the path back to the claimed source address is the one being used by the current packet. Okay, another prevention measure that can be used is modifying the TCP connection handling code. One way is that instead of handling TCP connection handling code using in the traditional way, you change it in such a way that during three-way handshake process, when server send back the sync ACK packet, and it choose its initial sequence number in that, this initial sequence number is included in a special message called cookie, and it should be encrypted. And this encrypted message should send back to the client, and legitimate client then will know how to decrypt it, so they can decrypt it and respond back with an ACK packet containing this incremented sequence number cookie as the acknowledgement of the received sync ACK packet. Another possible preventive measure that can be used is that if your TCP connection table become overflow, it has a lot of incomplete TCP connection, then you should start deleting entry from the TCP connection table for incomplete connections after some time, so that you can get a room for the new connection, and you are not going to overflow your TCP connection table. So this can be another preventive measure that can be used for prevention of DOS attacks. Okay, other preventive measure that can be used is block IP directed broadcast to prevent from amplification attacks that we discussed previously, or block suspicious services and combination like DNS amplification attack, which cause looping, and this looping occur because of the suspicious combination of this port 7 and 53 that is being used by the attacker. Also, CAPTCHAs can be used to distinguish between the bot and normal human requests. You can prevent your system from compromise by general system security practices. That is, you need to patch your system and update your system regularly. And last preventive measure that can be used is the backup plan, where mirrored and replicated servers should be used in case if your main server is not working properly or is not available, then the request can be directed to mirrored and replicated servers. Okay, after discussing the preventive measure for DOS attack, now we will discuss the detection methods that can be used to deal with DOS attacks. First thing, in order to detect DOS attack is to implement anti-spoofing, directed broadcast and rate limiting filter on your network, so that if you find any of such kind of traffic on the network, they should filter it and does not let it allow to enter into your network. Second is, you need to install a network monitor and intrusion detection system that continuously see the traffic and notify for any abnormal traffic pattern if it occur during the normal operation of the network. Okay, third thing is, if your network is under the attack, then how to respond to that attack. So to respond successfully to a DOS attack, a good incident response plan is needed. So for a good incident response plan, it should include how to contact technical personnel for your internet service provider, and this contact must be possible using some non-network mean, because when your network is under attack, you cannot contact this person through your normal network. You need some other way to contact it. Your incident response plan should also include how to respond to the attack, the division of responsibility between different organizational personnel and ISP, and it will depend on the resources available and technical capabilities of the organization. When a DOS attack is detected, the first step toward responding to that attack is to identify the type of attack. So how can we identify the type of attack? It can be done by capturing packets that flowing into your network and then analyzing them and looking for common attack packet types. This can be done by your network administrator, or you can take the help of ISP. Okay, from this analysis, once you have identified the type of attack, then the next thing is you need to install suitable filters to block the flow of attack packets, and these filters can be installed by the ISP on its router for all the upstream traffic from the ISP. Upstream traffic is that traffic that is going out of your network. Okay, so because you receive your data from ISP, so ISP can install these filter on upstream traffic. If the attack target a particular bug on a system or application, instead of generating a high traffic volume, then you need to identify that bug or problem and then need to correct it for so that you can prevent future attacks because of the exploitation of that bug in the system. Okay, once you identify the attack, then you could also trace packet back to the source of the attack, and you can do so by taking the help of ISP, so that you can identify the attacker or the source of the packet. But in case if spoofed source addresses are being used, then it would be very difficult and time consuming to find out the source of the attack. And if you are planning to do any legal action, then you may have to do it through a more careful way for collecting the additional evidences for this attack that can be used for legal actions. In case if this DOS attack is a rigorous flooding attack where a large number of traffic is coming from the reflected systems, then it may not be possible to successfully filter enough of the traffic to restore network connectivity. So in that case, organization need a contingency plan. So contingency plan or strategy can include either to switch to the backup servers, or you have to install new server at a new site with new address so that you can restore your service. After responding to the attack, the next step for the organization is to develop incident response policy, so that what steps should be taken to respond to such type of attacks later in the future. How can we handle these type of attacks? Okay, this is the summary of this chapter. Okay, thank you.